Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird, true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 541, written by Nevron14, Lines Between Life and Death. I work at a financial institution, and as part of my role, I coordinate training for all new hires within the first few weeks of their onboarding. The process begins when local managers send me the names and contact details of the new hirees so I can reach out to them for a brief introduction and to set the expectations of the training material. Prior to the start of the pandemic, I would simply reach out to the new hiree at their new office phone number. However, with the new WFH changes, I would now reach out to mobile numbers and residential phone numbers. All in all, a very similar process to what I was doing before, just with the caveat of having to reach out to people at home. A bit easier, really. As per usual, I received a new spreadsheet with the names and info of the new hirees I needed to contact when I came across a quite unique name. I picked up my headset and dialed the number provided. New hiree. Hello, this is name. Me. Hi, good morning. This is me, calling from financial institution. Did I catch you at a good time? Yes, this is great. However, could you please call me at my landline? My mobile service is not very reliable in this area. I wrote down the phone number she provided and we hung up. Immediately, I dialed the phone number and waited for the dial tone. 1 ring, 2 rings, 3 rings. An older woman answers. Hello? Hi, good morning. My name is me, and I'm looking for new hiree. Can I speak to her? Sorry, who are you? I'm me, calling from financial institution. She asked me to call her back on this line. Is she available? Silence. Hello? What do you mean she asked you to call her back? When? I was just talking to her and she said reception in the area is not very reliable and to please call her back at this number. I'm sorry, but that's impossible. Name of new hiree died 3 days ago. Is this telephone number provided by new hiree? Yes, that is correct. I'm sorry, I may have written down the number incorrectly. I apologize for the inconvenience and I'm very sorry about your loss. I hung up and was lost for words. I somehow managed to write down the wrong phone number and reached a residence with a recently deceased person who had the same unique name. I'm certain I wrote down the correct number, but it is possible that the poor connection made me write a different number. I don't know what to think. This is an odd coincidence, at the very least. I reached back out to the new hiree's mobile number and asked her to share the phone number again and confirm the number I dialed was correct. I was certain she would give me a different number where the digits were flipped and it might have just been a small dyslexia moment. I'm not so sure I was pranked by a family member, but it is possible that a senior resident with a mental disability might have answered and given me that info. Regardless, I didn't question the new hiree as it is none of my business if other residents live there and have access to the phone line. The next call I made back to her landline, the new hiree picked up, but it was the same number. Case notes, file number 541. I've realized this for a while now, how ghosts, the echoes of people's past, they're imprinted on a small geographic area of importance to them, well, to who they were. And these entities emit strong EM fields that can mess with, and sometimes, I believe, also control and influence electronic devices, such as phones. It wouldn't surprise me if this call was intercepted intentionally by whoever had passed away at that first address. No doubt they can alter the signal sent to the receiver, like 1 digit dialed. So you may have dialed the same number, but it was switched by this entity, or just intercepted. There's more to this than raw will, though. If it was as simple as it sounds, well, then these imprints would be messing with our phones all the time in order to talk to their loved ones who are still alive. Perhaps there are some sort of cosmic rules in place to limit how often they can do this. I don't know. I wonder how much it costs to use the phone as a ghost. Can't be that expensive, right? Bonus file, written by Karistee. Sometimes all you need is a good dream hug. In November, my dad had a hemorrhagic stroke, and it was pretty severe. He was awake for the first few days, then it was a constant up and down. On Thanksgiving, I got a call from the hospital that he had another stroke on the other side of his brain, and we needed to talk about end-of-life care. I had the first dream that night. We were sitting on his back porch at the table, and I was a sobbing mess. I kept saying that I couldn't believe he was going to leave me, and he kept laughing and making a joke out of it. He said, "What are you going to do about it?" And I told him I was going to climb in the casket with him. He laughed and reminded me that he was not going in a casket, he was going to be cremated. He passed away 3 days later. The second dream was a day or two after. I don't remember much except I was crying again and saying how much I missed him. I don't think he was hugging me back in this one, but I do remember him saying sorry and that it'll be okay. The third and final dream I had was very similar to the second one. I was ugly crying and hugging him, saying that I missed him and I can't believe he left me. This time he hugged me back and I could really feel it. It was such a good hug. It was so calming and made me feel loved. I stopped crying in my dream and just felt okay for the first time in weeks. I haven't had a dream like that since. I still dream about him, but it's so different from these 3 dreams. There's no feeling of sadness or talk of his death, just normal dream shenanigans. I know it's possible that it was just my brain trying to help me cope with the loss, but to me, it felt like he was checking in with me to see how I was and to say goodbye. I miss him so much. Every night I look forward to drifting off into dreamland in hopes of another hug from him. Creepy File number 12, written by Mammoth Permission 48, the so-called maintenance man. I'm a single male, 33, who lives alone in Denver. My apartment complex is not what you'd call a nice building. I'm on a road close to Colfax Avenue, which, if you're familiar with the geography of this area, is not the safest boulevard in town. I'm a few streets away from it, but close enough that I wouldn't consider this an up-and-coming neighborhood. This evening, I was watching Netflix on my couch. My 2 cats were cuddled up against me as I lay under a comforter. The night before, I had watched a horror movie that was scary enough to leave me in an unsettled mood, making it hard to sleep. So tonight, I decided to watch a stand-up special instead. Keep it light so I wouldn't have any trouble getting some shut-eye. I have classes early in the next morning, so I was surprised when I made the conscious decision to turn on a second stand-up special and let myself fall asleep on the couch. I was just so comfy where I lay and didn't want to move, not even to turn off the several lights on throughout my apartment. I remember dozing off around 11 o'clock. It was effortless, which meant I was really snug under the covers with my cats flanking me on either end, creating a tucked-in feeling. I fell into a dream wherein I was on an impromptu date with this guy, whom I didn't recognize, at a Blockbuster video store. He bought me blue and yellow underwear, like a Blockbuster would sell in Dreamland, insinuating I would take the hint of his intentions. He was also desperate for a job, so when we got to the counter, he was given an off-the-cuff interview that didn't go well. And all of a sudden, I'm not sleeping anymore. I'm woken up by a knock at my door. There's a man's voice and says, "Maintenance." I just sat there, sitting bolt upright on my couch. I knew something was off. I looked at my phone, which was by my left hand, and the time was 2:15 a.m. I didn't move. The floors in my apartment are old wood, and there are many creaky floorboards. I didn't want whoever was knocking to know someone was at home and awake, let alone alert to his presence. My cats got up and ran over to the door, as they normally would, but I stayed still and listened. After a few minutes with no answer, the man walked away from the door and down the hallway to the stairs. A moment after that, I heard the back door to the building swing open and closed. I have one window where I have a partial view of that door, so I break my paralysis and race over to it. I saw an old-looking green SUV sitting in the no parking zone just in front of the back door. It must have been running the entire time because I didn't hear it start up and the brake lights were glowing red. Someone, presumably the maintenance man, got in the car and drove it off. I don't know what his intentions were, but no one knocks on someone's door at 2:15 a.m. claiming to work for the landlord with good deeds in mind. Had it been a true emergency, wouldn't he have knocked again? Used his service key to get into the unit? What did I just avoid here? I can only assume it was an attempted robbery at best or abduction at worst. When I was watching the SUV drive off, I surveyed the other apartment windows. They were all dark. I can see every unit except the other 2 corner apartments below me from that vantage point. I think because my apartment sticks out from the building and has many windows, I was targeted because my lights were visibly on and noticeable from the street. However, I don't know how this individual got into the building in the first place, as you would need a key to do so. I've never been so legitimately afraid as a single person living alone. I'm grateful I installed a security chain on my door when I moved in. I'm also so glad that even in my disoriented state, I had the presence of mind not to move from the couch or make any noise. As I recount the event, I can't stop my eyes from watering a bit, though I wouldn't call it crying. My nerves are definitely shot. I don't think I'll be going back to Dreamland anytime soon. I have turned off all the lights save for the lamp by my bed. I usually can't sleep with it on. Tonight, I don't think I could sleep with it off.